Good morning. I didn't see you in the background. All I saw was the chair, and I was like, good morning. Wait, she was just there a minute ago. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. I am the badass Buddha, and coming to you from a very hot, finally, right? Very hot Southern Connecticut, where it's been sunny and beautiful, and actually the whole week is supposed to be beautiful. Today's supposed to be real hot, like 93 or 90 or something like that. And then we go back down to the 70s all week, which is fantastic. Overnights like in the high 50s, low 60s or something like that. And that's great. So this is wonderful. So hope everybody who has beautiful weather is out enjoying it and grounding themselves. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome, mi gente, aquí. Buenos días. Aquí con la Margarita yelling while people are sleeping, but hey, because it's a beautiful morning. It really is. You know, when it's freezing and it's winter, we complain, we can't wait for the heat. And then the heat comes and we're like, oh, it's so damn hot. And I was having this conversation yesterday, right? We're just such finicky humans. We're never, ever satisfied. We love it, but yet it's just such. Where did we become so comfortable in complaining? Oh, my grass is dying, and then it rains, and then it's raining. But you know what? I think it's just things we say. I think we love every season, and that's why we live. Well, those of you who still live in a four-season state, because it's beautiful. Buenos días.
It is, and I think you brought up a really good point, Gladiator Guru, is I've been trying to be very mindful of that. And I say trying, I don't like to use the word trying, but I'm not always mindful, so that's the reality of it. But the moment I hear the words come out of my mouth saying, oh my God, it's so hot, it's just so too hot, I stop and I'm like, but in the winter, I was complaining and saying, I can't wait for the summer, I can't wait for the heat. So we just have to adapt to it. I mean, I was working in the yard the last 4 days, and it was yesterday included, and it was hot, and it was, but I had to keep saying, but I'm here and I'm feeling it. Like you always say, it's like if you feel the pain, it means you're alive. If you're feeling the heat and you're feeling the fatigue and you're sweating, it means that you're alive and you're enjoying it, and so I had to just stop, because I think I much prefer the heat and the sun as compared to like the gray and the cold. I don't mind gray days. The cold and wet really gets to me. It's so because we have sprinklers. I just walk through the sprinklers to cool myself off.
But that is such a good awareness right there. Is right now what you just said. What your preference is, and it's okay to have a preference. And you love working in your yard, so yeah, it's just the minute how we say in Spanish, sacudir, dust off all those old or all of those adopted phrases of criticism, because everybody, everywhere you go, oh, it's so freaking hot and blah blah, and then the same people you heard 6 months ago complaining about the cold, but it's because, like we spoke the other day when you said environmental does have an effect on us. And then when you become aware of it, you're like, well, I really do like this thing. Like, what the hell was I talking about? But I just think we learn ourselves every day in every little subject that we go through. And I think that's the beauty of it all. The beauty of it all is, and in this chapter that I wrote, I talk about the daily wisdom of mindfully teaching my soul. Ooh. And it's like, and that's what it is. Every day is a new day to live, to reach a goal, to change your goal. See, badass. And that's another thing we got to talk about is people feel because they wrote on paper that this is what they're going to do in 3 weeks. And then in 3 weeks, they were taken, on this magical carpet and seen such different things. And now that their goal isn't what it was, but because they said it was going to be that, now they have to do it and they're going half-assed into it. And then what happens, right? So I think that daily learning of ourselves, and then we go adjusting. So write your goals in pencil and get a big fucking eraser, because it's your goal and it's your paper and it's your life, and we should be able to adapt ourselves into the things that we really want to do, because we might not have had a clear picture. And instead of what, badass, instead of sitting there asking the whys, just do.
I really love your necklace, Gladiator Guru. It's so
Oh my
pretty.
God, I bought this in Spain for $12.
I love it.
It is very long. You can wear it down to your belly button. Had I had a flat stomach, and I would wear a tube top and shit, right? But that's not the case today. But I love my jewelry here, yeah. And I love it because I've been having my gratitude earrings on for a while, and then I see the spiral gratitude, and I was like, this is just so me. And I got it. And it's like this real light aluminum. So thank you.
Yeah, it's really nice. I love it.
I love it. If I could wear it every day, I'm going to try to fit it into everyday wardrobe.
Oh, nice. Yeah, good. I like what Kathy wrote. She said, I was just talking about how we grew up in Texas without AC. How did we do everything when we were younger, right? Nobody had central air back in the day. It was like, you're lucky if you had like a window unit, one window unit in one, like the living room of the house. And that like cooled down the whole entire place, and it's, I was thinking about when I was watching my daughter on her bike, and I'm like yelling at her to put her helmet on. And I'm going, we never had helmets.
We never had helmets.
Well, that would explain a lot, I think.
We hardly ever had gloves to go out and play in the snow. You lost your gloves, you better put on a pair of socks and get the hell out of here. We were just talking about that yesterday. There was no, oh my God, they're going to fall. No, it was, you want to go outside and play, wear your gloves. I don't know. Well, then if you want to go outside, put on some socks. And the first time you come upstairs, you're stained. So your ass is stood outside playing until you couldn't take it no more. And where did that go? That taught endurance. That taught accountability. Well, I did say I wanted to come outside. And those same people today teaching accountability, teaching health and endurance. Those were the kids who were said, if you want to go outside, wear your gloves. Well, put on socks. And then first time, and then you didn't come up. So, and today it's not like that. So no. What have we done with today's kids? Thinking we're keeping them safe when we're not, because then when some shit goes down, they're not going to know survival skills. Right?
That's right.
My kids better not have come back upstairs all dragging snow. You coming, you staying. That's it. So yeah, so it's good to be back. This is the first Tuesday back since I left on May 3rd. So it's kind of exciting for me.
Yeah, I mean, how's it been? How's it been to sort of decompress and stuff since the trip?
Well, the first 2 weeks, we walked through Portugal, so that was a 5-hour difference. And then the last week, we were in Spain, and it was a 6-hour difference. So when I first came back, the first 3 or 4 days, I was knocking out per my sister. I don't know. She was probably fibbing. I don't know if she's on. By 8:30, she said I was knocking out. But I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm brewing coffee at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm up all day. And then, and I guess I've been writing and painting purses. So that has kept my mind occupied, because when you do, what I did, there's a certain sadness that just creeps in. And you don't understand it right away. You just know there's like, and then you sleep, you start trying to get a different thing, but then you start being aware of certain things. So it's going to take a while to adjust. And it's not even the length of time that you're gone. It's what you did in that time, which was wake up, get dressed, and walk. There's no timetable to your life. Just before it gets dark, make sure we secure a bed. There's no appointments. There are no assignments. The only assignment is for you to get up every day and allow your spirit to push your body. And so then now you come back to the real world and you have phone calls and you have deadlines, and then you're staying in someone's house, so you have to get up at a certain time, or you have to do this, and because you feel that. And then I'm here. It's been a week now that I'm back, and I haven't even decided when I'm going back to my house in Florida. Because so it's a whole different. I don't know. It's like it's gonna take a while to seep in, but God is just the greatest inconvenient, not knowing, overcooked spaghetti moment in your life, I think. And unless you lived it, then it's like, yeah. So now I'm like this soggy spaghetti saying, where do I go? What do I do? And I just feel bad for Iris because it's her first time. So but yeah. But thank you for asking. But let's get on because
Kathy wrote, we had a water cooler in life for a bit, and that was incredible for my youth. Open windows and eventually getting box fans was moving up in the world.
That's right.
We were watching one of the Medea movies. My little one loves them apparently now. All of a sudden she's into them. And they showed this one scene where the father, or not the father, it's Medea's brother, which is Tyler Perry's character's father.
Mm-hmm.
And they pull back and they're watching. Remember the console TVs? It was like the built-in cabinet, like the TV, and that wasn't working. So they had the other TV sitting on top of it. And I went, oh my God, that's what we used to do. It's like you didn't want to replace the cabinet and you couldn't replace the TV. So you just bought a new TV and you put it on top and you left that as the table. I started laughing. I'm like, oh my God, I remember that too.
But you can't forget the pliers. Because once the big TV broke and you put the little TV on top, the knob always broke off. So you needed the little pliers to change.
Oh, yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
And the rabbit ears. Girl, we lived that.
Ears. Yep. I was the remote. Get up, Lori. Go change the channel. I was the remote.
But wasn't that the best time? If you think back, that'll always bring me back to the best time in my life when it was simple. Watching The Love Boat and Charlie's Angels. They were simple, they were clean, and you knew that once one of them went off, your ass better get to bed. So, I mean, it was
right. I didn't stay because Fantasy Island was on after The Love Boat, and that was late. That was 10 to 11.
That was the weekend.
That you had to go to bed. Oh my God.
We didn't need to be told. We just knew once we danced to that, okay, it's time for bed. And it was simple times. And I just think that, and I'm going to plug myself in right now. That's why, Ruthie, let me tell you, your coffee will be shipping out. I waited till I got back to brew it. Hold on. And that is why, I can't even find it right now. The coffee is to invoke happy childhood memories, because sometimes when we're where we're at today, we need to travel back. And we talked about this, about let go and grow. There are things we do need to travel back in time to remind us that things were okay, so we are okay, so let's plan the next step in our lives. That is how to invoke those happy childhood memories, because we have them. Why is it that we only remember what we call travesties in our life? Right?
Yeah.
We must start a revolution of awareness of ourselves. Let it be a revolution. Put that warrior paint on and figure it out. Because there are more. After my mom died, that's when I realized we did have great times. We did laugh together, and I forgot. And we did suffer, and those I remembered. So
listen, it's understandable. You know, when you have a tragedy, like you had a serious thing. I mean, it's like when I look at some of the shit that I went through, it was like benign. It was like nothing. So it's understandable, but you're right. It's like there's no what do we decide to focus on? Do we decide to focus on the bad, or do we decide to focus on the good? And I mean, I've got a lot of crazy ass childhood memories that are fun. I mean, there's a lot of bad ones too, but there's a lot of freaking hilarious ones, you know. I mean, it's just I remember we used to have every year our neighborhood used to have a block party. And it was great because we looked forward to this. It was Labor Day weekend. It was the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. We would always start school right after. So we would my father would be in charge of the games, and he would they have kids and adult games, and we would win prizes like school supplies, and we were happy to receive them. Like we weren't upset that we were winning school supplies, you know. And I remember this one time where it would go from like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, about 8-9 o'clock, the mothers would bring the kids back, and then the dads would stay and finish out the keg, because they'd always have a keg, and then they'd be playing poker, and they'd bring out liquor, and by the time they'd be like all completely bombed, they would walk home, because they'd all just walk to each other's house, because it was always one person hosted in the neighborhood. And then, man, even if they were hungover like clockwork, these guys would get up at like 7:30 in the morning the next day. They'd collect all the tables. They would clean up. You wouldn't even know there was a party there. Like, the host never had to lift a finger. It was like all the guys would come in. I remember a few times my father used to have this thing that they would spray for mosquitoes. And it was this fogging machine. Like, it was this, right? And we would all run through it like through the fog. And he'd be like yelling at us. This shit was so toxic. And we're running, it's like Agent Orange. Like, we're running through this thing, like going, you know, oh, this is so much fun. And it was like breathing in toxic fumes, for God's sake.
Yeah, we do have them. That's funny. See, we have the few memories we have of the block. Our block party was when somebody illegally opened the fire hydrant, and we had like it beat any day at the beach, because the families would watch and people would write this. And I think we have to hold on to that and not be so tight on our kids. Like, people don't want their kids to do what they did, but I don't know. The memories are good. And I think that instead of we have to ask ourselves, what did this teach me? And then you move it forward. And like I said, start a revolution of your own with yourself, with that inner person you shut down, that you quieted, that you must bring forth. And remember, you look at your life now and say, what am I missing? Because I missed a lot, but I went back. When I was forced to sit in my seasonal sadness after my mom died, I learned so much. I learned so much about me and what I wasn't allowing myself to let go because of the comfort zone. So then just started and figure out who you are and try to understand her, the one we're keeping down here because she doesn't fit in society, or we're too grown for her. Fuck that. Go in, seek her, apologize, become friends again, and that's when you grow.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So listen,
we're gonna set the intentions.
I know we need to do that because I haven't walked my little one out to the bus stop much at all, and she's like itching for me to do it today. So I'm looking at the time, going, oh, we're getting close. So, all right. The intention, as always, with Viva is to be intentional. So set your intention today to be intentional and
grateful. Look around you.
Like
everything around you shows that you're grateful. Look. I wear it here. I wear it here. Be grateful that you're watching us this morning. Movimiento es vida, mi gente. Movement is life. So
any movement doesn't even have to be physical. It could be spiritual, mental, emotional, any movement. Bowel movement. That's also
that is life.
You get stuck for too long, man. It's not a good situation. All right. So let's do our mantra. Here we go. I am a disruptor.
I am a disruptor.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am magically orgasmic.
Ole.
And I am beyond authentic.
And I keep it real.
Yay. I'm sorry. I'm so tired today. My energy is just so low. The coffee's not kicking it in today. So
oh my God. I am like, what am I doing next? Putting my sneakers on and walking these hills.
Good for you.
Good morning, Arlene.
Good morning, Arlene. So actually, let's say good morning to everybody, right? Let's say good morning to Kathy and Tiffany. Who else came on? Milagros, Tony,
Prima, milagros.
Who else came on? I know Delilah came on, Arlene.
Hey, Titi.
But they're missing somebody. Am I missing somebody?
Did
No,
Tiffany
that's it.
Bryan? Oh, Ruthie was on.
Ruthie. Good morning, Ruthie. Okay. Today's conversation is about where did I type it? Must you answer everything? This was a really interesting. This was Gladiator Guru came up with this, and it's talking about when we're speaking, or when somebody asks a question, why are we always compelled to answer? Like, why do we always have to put our 2 cents in? Right? That's what you were going along with, because we didn't get it. We didn't talk yesterday.
Well,
So
it's both. It's both.
it's
That
both, right?
because we feel we're uncomfortable in the silence. So why do we feel we have to say something? But also when somebody does something or disappears or why? Like we always want to know the whys to something. Why do we need to know? Why can't it just be? Why can't we just shut the hell up? If somebody's, why do we gotta butt in? Why do we gotta give our 2 cents? Why do we need 2 cents? That's what it is. Because I always had a problem with the whys. I even wrote a whole thing about it. The whys. Why? And it keeps us in that loop, in that limbo, because that one person to us did us wrong and we want to know the why. Or that one person's doing this and we want to tell them the whys. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, that's no, I love that. I love that. And it's true. This is something that to this day I still struggle with. I have to constantly check myself, because there are moments where I do feel like I want to answer or explain or question more. And I have to really sit and think, okay, am I doing that because I'm feeling a little insecure and I'm feeling like I need to make myself a little bit bigger because I'm feeling small? Is it curiosity? Is it just being annoying? Or is it, or is, like I said, just the curiosity piece I'm good with, because that's just being, you're being kind and you're wanting to know more. If we're talking with somebody, when we're always asking somebody else the question, why, like you were saying, why, when we just can't let go of it.
And nobody's there to answer it. We're just going with the vibe, imagining the person and trying to figure it out. And then you reach a point. Absolutely, Marina. That's where I'm getting at. Then you reach a point and you're like, fuck it. They're the ones who are losing out, not me. And that's how, but why waste that time? And that's what we're talking about. Go ahead. I got hot.
Oh, no.
Ooh, I got hot.
I think we just waste the time because I think we feel that. And I mean, well, I don't want to say we. I know me. I'm definitely one of those people. That's why it's a constant struggle for me. I am one that has to know. Like I have to know. Like it helps me with closure. And but the one thing I've learned over the last few years, especially, is that closure is what we make of it. We will, if we're seeking closure from somebody else, if we're seeking answers or understanding, and we keep asking the questions or we keep answering questions, we may never be satisfied. Sometimes we can get it, another time. Most of the time, I'd say we probably can't. It's up to us. And I've had to. It's a process of letting go. It's a process of knowing like when to be quiet and let somebody else speak.
It's a talent. Listen. It's something you gotta learn. What are the first words a baby will say when you say, "Don't touch that"? Why? My granddaughter's starting to say that, and so we have to. I think when we fall in love with ourselves, like Marina says, with age, but I also believe when the moment you decide to fall in love with yourself and honor yourself, all scars and unhealed wounds, and you just love yourself, the whys seem to like like this is all the whys, but then they seem like they start to just, it's a waterfall of fuck offs. And sometimes they'll stay at the back of your mind, but you know what, we got to get there slowly. And I went through that why thing like 2.5 years ago. And things will trigger it, like things that happen, then mom, and then it wasn't why, it was did I. And so it's they change maybe, but they're like the same things. And I think that I think you have to go through it, though. I think you have to go through that, sitting on that poop mound and saying, why? Was it me? Was I not good enough? This, or did I, whatever the questions may be, I don't even have them all. Can you fill in some of the whys, Laura?
Sorry, my daughter was asking me a question. Shut that door though.
Oh, it's okay.
What was the question again? I'm
Can
sorry.
do you know, like, what are some of the whys we ask ourselves? Because I think they're during those insecure moments, like when we allow somebody to make us feel insecure. And sometimes, we blame it on a lot of stuff, but sometimes we have the expectation that because we're here and we're in love, or we've worked together, or we're partners or whatever, that there shouldn't be any letdowns on the other party. So then we're inundated with all the whys, like what led this? Why did this happen? Was I good enough? Was I putting my part in? Was it? And I think that's what kills us, is the constant questioning of ourselves, instead of just seeing it for what it was. For every beginning, there's an end, because for every end, there's a beginning. And we get stuck on the end part, and we don't see the openings of the new beginning. And then we wonder why we're still stuck like Chuck.
I think sometimes we feel like I don't know is just not a good enough answer. I'm thinking
It's
like
not.
I think, and sometimes that is the answer. Like I'll ask my middle daughter, like questions, and for a long time that was her only answer was I don't know. And I think that when we overthink and say I don't know all the time, I think that's just an avoidance. But see, I know me, I'm always going, like my head is always going. I'm always trying to figure things out. I'm always trying to answer stuff. So for me, saying I don't know is actually quite powerful sometimes. I remember when I was a teacher, you don't know everything. I mean, you just don't. But when you're a teacher, especially a new teacher, you feel very intimidated because you don't want to say I don't know, because you don't want the students to think, oh my God, she doesn't know, so how can I rely on her, And I learned, though, that in the beginning, the ego was definitely playing in. It's like, oh, I have to know everything. And if I didn't know, I would sort of bullshit my answer a little bit. And then after a point, I let go of that piece. So it's letting go. That's really a main thing. Must you answer everything is really letting go. Because when I let go and said, you know what, I don't know everything. And I think it's just going to, because what happened was I got nailed a couple of times with saying something that either wasn't really 100% correct. So after that, I said, you know what, if I don't know it, I'm going to say I don't know it. I'm going to write it down. And then on the break, I either look it up or I'll look it up the next day for the next class, And so I don't know became pretty powerful for me, And with that, I have to go out to the bus stop.
But yet, because one is because you're confident enough to know that, oh, I don't know, but I'll let you know tomorrow. And it's just about holding yourself accountable and then figuring it out. I don't know I don't know. Just like saying no is very powerful. So, and Marina said, it's knowing yourself. Yeah, I think that when we inundate ourselves with the whys, we're like stepping on our spirit, stepping on that light. So then everything becomes way down. And then we start to question ourselves. And, it's chaos. We start up, it becomes chaotic. That moment, no matter how long or how short it was or it became, that moment becomes very chaotic through our mind and our spirits, because all we're thinking about is all the whys and So what happens? We have to take that chaos and flip it, because you have to remind yourself, I live, right? I learn, I love simple things. I'm alive. I'm learning about myself. Therefore, I am loving myself. And that just flips it and turns it into the magic of chaos, because chaos takes us out of stagnation and it pushes us to move in the direction where we're supposed to be. So when you learn yourself, especially like the badass Buddha says, when you learn yourself, then you claim your power back into the words that you thought would make you seem less, which is, I don't know, or no, or you know what, I'm not going to ask why anymore. I'm gonna replace it with, what is it that is happening? What and how can I make the change? And when you just change the words, there's still questions, but if you change and you leave the why either for the bottom, or you start off with it, get rid of it, but fill it in with the what can I do differently, and how can I adapt this change into my life in a positive light. And so you go like that. But the thing is that knowing the whys, and even when someone's speaking, why do we feel we have to up them, one up them? And I was guilty for that, because I'm very passionate when I speak, and very opinionated. And my first Camino helped me quell that part of me, which I'm so happy for. But it's like we feel like we have to always say something when someone's speaking. And that just goes to, why are we insecure? Why do we feel to say, hello, I'm here, when you're standing right there? Sometimes your silence is louder than your voice, than the words you're using. Sometimes your essence, your aura of just being there is so loud and it's so felt that you don't need to speak. And when you begin to know yourself, to learn yourself, to love yourself, then you know that your mere presence is quite effective. And then when your mere presence is that effective, you learn where to place yourself, because it doesn't mean your ass needs to be in every event, in every meeting. You don't have to be a part of everything you're being invited to. And that's also like why, that's where the good whys come in. Why should I attend this? Okay? Why should my presence be available to this when it's so left field to what I'm working on, or to what I have invested my time in? And those are the whys that are a bit more healthy than the why am I not good enough, or why did this happen to me? And because if you sit in a problem long enough, you will find a solution. But in that, sometimes we're afraid to sit in the problem, so we give up, believing there's no solution. But, just universally, for every problem, there's a solution. What you need to do is remove yourself from the people who believe that for every solution, there's a problem. And that's where you have to be aware of. Who are your people who don't question the whys, but the hows? Okay, I'm here. I gotta let this shit go. I'm here. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. It's not producing anything positive in my life that streams out to my loved ones. So then it's the next question. You take that why and you put it on the back burner, and now it's the what and the how. And you can still be inquisitive. Be inquisitive, because it lets you know which lane to take. Robert Frost, my favorite, the road less traveled. Sometimes we have to walk that road alone and be afraid and wonder, what am I doing here? How did I get here? Ask yourself all those questions, because when you come out of into the clearing, you're going to have a better understanding of who you are and a better knowledge of your strengths and your courage. So sometimes that taking that road less traveled is the best lesson in life, for you to know that you must let go of all those whys that pertain to what other people did or say, and leave those scenarios in the ditch. And if you got to ask yourself the whys, let it be the why is this. I'm thinking of a thing like, okay, so why have I not joined this? Oh, okay. And then that's a feather in your fedora. Every time you learned of a why that pertains to you, why should I be a part of this? Okay, why is it important for me to meet this deadline? Why for you? That's going to be of you, not any whys that has to do with what anybody else did or say to you or about you. And that is, again, I'm plugging in my coffee because I'm so in love with Naturally Orgasmic Cafe. Now, for those who purchase coffee, I have my list and I'm roasting here in Connecticut. So everybody gets a fresh thing. Like I promised when in the May special that I had, that in June, I would start mailing out the coffees once I got everything delivered here to roast it and all of that. But my coffee, the revolution of awareness, isn't about the coffee. Okay. It's about all those women who are going to support my business and to allow them to realize that coffee is not just coffee. Coffee is that armor you put on in the morning and you said, okay, I'm going to face today. I'm tired. I'm a bit edgy. I don't like the way my hair came out today. I don't really have nothing to wear, so fuck it. I'm going to throw on yesterday's t-shirt because I need to handle this business. And that's what you learn when you know. And then you walk in silence. Walk in silence. You know, it's not about keeping secrets. That's your life. And that's your business. And you share what you want. But you know what I'm learning? Because I used to be like that. And then I opened up and I said, well, I'm going to do this, this, and that. And then I noticed nobody was clapping, but they were imitating. So now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to walk back in my silence until I conquer my assignment. And then I'll share it with the world. So it's not about keeping secrets. It's about protecting my energy. And I learned that on the Camino. So what we do is stop with the whys unless it's a betterment question for you. Why should I attend this event? Oh, because I'm going to meet so-and-so who's connected to so-and-so that has to do with the business I'm launching or with the conversations I'm having. Why should I do this? Well, why? Because someone invited me, but I'm so busy. Then you know what you have to do. Those are the whys you got to ask yourself and learn to let go. And then in letting go of all those unnecessary whys, then what do, badass? We grow into the spirit we're supposed to be right here in this world right now, because we all have a purpose. Stop entangling yourself like a salty pretzel to appease and to please. You don't need to show up everywhere. Just know that you need to show up for you. When you show up for you, guess what? Everything flows as it should. Jennifer Bannon, welcome. Go ahead. Your turn, badass.
I don't know what to say. Remember I said I was like tired today. I don't even know. What did it say? Why do I always have to answer?
Well, no, like we ended up with the why.
Like I want to talk.
Go ahead. You know you have some tidbits of wisdom to share.
I think sometimes there's so much pressure for us to actually always be on and like have an answer, and sometimes it's like expected, you know. So when you, because that's how I'm feeling. Like the last couple of days, I've been feeling where I just want to be quiet, you know, like in solitude and not do that. And but it between family, you know, when you're visiting, family's visiting, or in Gladiator Guru's case, she's visiting family, right? And it's like you have those moments where you just want to be silent and you just want to be by yourself and just sort of take that moment, you know. And you can't let that go too long because it starts to get to you after a while, you know. And I found such great pleasure in not answering everything all the time. Like I find that when I'm more frustrated is to just kind of sit still and speak to my higher power, you know, and listen, you know, because that's the problem too, is that when we're always answering, you can't answer and speak and listen at the same time. It's just not possible, you know? So that was another thing I think I learned a lot about myself, was the reason I was always trying to answer everything was because I was too afraid to shut the hell up and just like listen, not just to other people, but to anything, to God, to anything. And it is within that quiet time that you'll often hear certain sounds or whispers that will sometimes give you the answers that you're seeking without having to ask the question out loud, you know? And I noticed that when I don't respect that part of myself, when I feel like I've got to respond, I've got to answer, it definitely affects my mood, which is definitely what's going on with me the last few days, I think. So I think I'm at a point where I really need to just sit and shut the hell up. See, I watched a lot of Medea over the last few days. Shut the hell up. Like she loves.
Well,
But
yeah,
it's
but and
true
then
though.
when you're sitting in your silence, you have to ask yourself, how many times do I gotta put myself on timeout? Like where's the lesson that I'm learning? And
Ooh,
again,
I
it's just
like
like
that.
saying no, not now.
Some
You
people
have
take
a
time out.
baby. You have a baby. She's what, 8? I don't
Yes.
know why I kept thinking she was 11. So those, it's really hard to find that time out to sit in silence, but we do. And if you can't sit in total silence, then listen to the whispers of your silence. So I think that when we just decide to do that for ourselves, yeah, the universe opens up. See, the universe can't tell between good and bad, but it's, so if you're constantly saying, I'm this, I'm that, I'm, then that's what you're gonna get. And so be wary of your words and what you say. And that's something I've been like working on. And we all have something to work on. We all have something to be aware of, that we want to change for us, not because anybody else has complained about it. Because remember, you are who you are. You're not you're not a puzzle with pieces for everybody to appreciate. You are complete. You are whole. And you do the work on you that you feel is going to be beneficial to humanity, because whoever you are and wherever you walk, that essence comes out. Those verbal essence comes out. So that's the only person that you got to be. You're complete. So you got to be aware of who you are and what you want to change to be a better person to humanity. But don't be a puzzle with pieces to everybody that really are not like, they're not sewn into the tapestry of your world. They're just people you know, and you might respect and honor because of whatever position they have. But your position is the highest position, no matter where you're at. So you have to remind yourself you're whole, you're complete, and let that shit go. Let it go. Stop with the questioning of who you are, how good you are, how good did you do something. Stop with the wanting to question other people's motives, because that also sets us back. And I think that's what we were like talking about. Why do we always gotta respond to somebody?
Well, and
You know,
this
now
is
I just smile and I'm like, whatever, whatever.
yeah, exactly. And that's why I kept Kathy's comment up. It says we often use our words to defend ourselves in situations, and letting go of the idea of always trying to defend ourselves is so empowering. I know this one so well because I've had to do it for most of my life. It's all the relationships that I've ever been in, were with individuals that always were asking me questions for me to always have to do. And I always felt like I was always defending myself. And it was, um, I guess that's where it comes from partially, is always feeling the need to explain myself or to have an answer, because I was, you know, that became habitual. And like Gladiator Guru said, it's like after a while you just, and what Kathy said, it's just after a while you just, it's like not even worth explaining. When somebody asks, like if somebody asks me a question and they want an answer, and it's these toxic people, let's say, um, I don't even bother anymore, because like I stop for a moment and think about it. I'm like, okay, do I even need to answer this, or am I just going to blow this off? Because, and then they come back again, and what's the matter? You're not going to answer me? And it's like, right, I'm not, I'm not, which is an answer, by the way. Um, but it is true. It's like, I think those moments of pause, because even Marie, what is it? Marina had said, agreed with you. I do that timeout, taking those timeouts, like Gladiator Guru said. Editha says, I always felt that I had to give an answer to everyone. I'm learning that I don't have to. That's right. Thank God that you are.
That you
Um,
are. And people always thought I was rude because I was like, no, I don't want to. I don't, people always thought, for the most part, and Iris can agree with me, people always thought that I was rude, or that I was, they always created a Margarita in their mind, and that's how they stuck with. So, and I didn't give a shit because I didn't care, but there were times I would get defensive, that I had to defend myself from what the people thought I was. And then I was like, I'm complete. Because the bottom line is, as long as I love me and I am aware of things I need to change, it doesn't matter who thinks of me this way. If I want to put myself on a pedestal, I'm going to place myself on the pedestals by the merits of the things that I accomplish. Not because I want to be seen by the world, because I really don't. And so when you walk and you talk in your truth, and you realize, you know what? It's good to love and it's good to have friends, but the only one that really matters is me, because then the ones that come after me will reap the benefits of what I intend to do. When we depend on other people to what's that word I want? To constantly praise us or see us in a certain light, because we don't know how to say no, because we want everybody to like us and we want to be recognized out there into the world, we lose ourselves. And
yeah.
then we feel like we have to behave a certain way out of our normal realm, because we got to keep up that vision, that ruse, that they think who we are, and it gets exhausting, and then your soul starts to crumble and your mind starts to either go blank or it gets fogged up with bullshit, and then you're miserable and you don't understand why, because you're trying to be somebody you're not, to appease people who really don't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
So learn yourself, live with yourself, love yourself. And that is the magic of chaos, because chaos will always be around us. Chaos is always going to be surrounded. We're going to be like in a pool of fish all the time. Chaos, chaos, chaos. But you are sitting in your silence and learning and loving and activating your strength and your courage and your know-how.
Yep.
Anybody got something to say? Oh, what? Look, Iris says something.
I know, I put it up. She said, she was just saying that she understood. Um, and she's working on that. And good for you, Iris. Then she wrote this too. I always felt that I had to give an answer to everyone. I'm learning that I don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, that's something that we have to teach the younger people. You know, we have to, and we have to make sure that when we give that information, so why must we always answer? But we do have to guide people. You know, like I think about the information that I know now. If I knew this growing up, I'm not saying would have, could have, should have, or oh, what if. But the reality is that we do that sometimes, right? Because when you grow, and especially, Gladiator Guru, you've always been on your own path. You've always created your own stuff. But for like people such as myself or Editha, who really finally woke the fuck up late in life, it's we do think back to say, gosh, if we knew then what we knew now, what would we do different? Now, we don't harp on that, but it is kind of nice to think back. And the empowerment is huge. And that's why it's important for us then to take that knowledge and insight and impart it onto individuals that are younger than us, to say, you're still going to walk your path. You're still going to make your own decisions, but go in with this knowledge. What you do with that information is entirely up to you. And I always think back to, there was a really great quote. I'm going to misquote it, but I'll paraphrase it.
Paraphrase.
And it was it was in a comedy movie. It was from the movie Overboard with Goldie Hawn and
Love it. Mm-hmm.
I love it too, right? And she gets back on the boat, you know, after she was with Kurt Russell's character for so long, and she's doing shots with the staff, and she's doing tequila shots in the kitchen with the staff, right? And she was never that person. She was always this bitchy, awful, mean, horrendous person, you know. And so they all leave, and she's left with her butler, like the guy that her right hand guy, and she says something like he imitates her and talks about how she lost her ring and how she used to treat him. And she's like, oh my God, I behaved so badly. And you did so many wonderful things for her and never once said thank you. She goes, and I'm so sorry. And he was taken back because she was never like that before. And then she said, you know, everybody thinks I'm crazy. And she goes, do you think I'm crazy? And he stops. He goes, oh, no. He said something like, very rarely do we get to experience life in a different way, you know. He says, but you did. He goes, you got to see life from an entirely different perspective. He said, and what you do with that information is entirely up to you. And I always thought that was such a profound quote. Like, she was living one life, and then she got to live another life, and then she can decide what she does with that information. She could just completely throw it away and say, screw it. That's poor. I never want to live like that. I'm going to go back to this lifestyle. Or she could say, I learned something about myself, which she did, of course, you know, because of the movie. But I just thought that was pretty cool because it's the truth. It's like when we view our lives, or we live our life in a different perspective. And so maybe the different perspective is we shut the hell up. We stop talking. We stop asking the questions. We stop feeling the need to fill in the answers or the blanks. And we just be still. We just listen. And even if there's nothing, with no expectations, like there's no sound, there's no, like how many times when we're frustrated or upset about something, we talk to God, oh God, please, you know, like I need help with this. Like we never talk at all to God. And then all of a sudden in that moment, we need help. And then we want the answers. Then we're sitting there waiting. Okay, hello, you know, I don't hear you, you know, but we don't stop. We don't stop and say, okay, I'm not hearing anything. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to hear. Or I'm not hearing anything yet. Or maybe I'm just not paying attention. And so we just have to shut up. We have to stop filling in the blanks, saying the words, asking the questions, and then take that information into an entirely different perspective, from a different perspective, and then do something with that information. And I got on that little tangent was because it is up to us to teach the younger people.
It is. I say that all the time. But before we teach, we need to let go of all of the expectations and assumptions.
Absolutely.
We need to let go of our fear of allowing people to be who they are, because we're just learning who it is. There's a lot of things we need to do the work at ourselves, but teach along the ways. I think that when you start teaching what you have fully embraced and speak to them, like everybody, all my life, I've always been the black sheep in my family. I've always spoke and did whatever the hell I wanted. And they also labeled me crazy. But if you were to ask Iris right now, who's Margarita? She's like, well, I don't know, because I saw a whole different side of her. I never knew who she was. Because people pick parts of you.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that. I wrote that in my first book. People pick the parts of you that they are comfortable with.
And or uncomfortable with, because they could complain about those parts.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable with it. Right.
And then when you show up and they have to see you at your full thing, they're intimidated, and then they find a reason to criticize you. And I've always been fine with whatever people had to say.
It doesn't align with their story.
Defend. Yeah. But I think you're right. This is what we've been talking about for weeks. We must be at the head of it, teaching these kids. This next generation is up to us to teach, because with the uncertainty of the world and all the fear and all this talk taking them away from family, all of these things that are being accepted by government is pulling our children. No matter, I say children, I say my children are 36 and 32. They're still my babies. They're pulling them away from us where we can teach them the values that they will need to bring to propel them forward. So you're right, we do need to start teaching them without fear.
Yeah.
Don't sugarcoat shit, because that's what the world has already been doing to these people. Oh, I don't want them to see this. I don't want them to hear that. Let's just deal with reality, and then build their courage and their strength so that when they go out in the world without us and they are dealing with people saying and doing what you try to protect them from, they're not going to go into total shock and become an overcooked noodle. They're going to say, I seen that. I'm not supposed to be that way. Let me head this way. That's how we teach the children of the world. And my tagline for my mission statement on my Crickets Whisper business is, sometimes the strongest voice is a whisper. Sit down. Sit down. That's it. Yeah. Just sit down. Why do I want to sit down? Where do I sit down at? And then we start making it count. Just sit the fuck down.
I like that.
And shut up.
I like the visual on that, because think about this for a moment, is that, you know how like when people want their way, they get louder and they get louder. And unfortunately that happens. They get their way because they're the loud one, right? But think about people give in to them because they just don't want to hear them. They want to shut them up. But think about the power of the whisper, like Gladiator Guru was saying, because when somebody whispers, what do? You have to move in closer to them to hear what they're saying. And that brings connection. That brings people closer, as opposed to when somebody's yelling, you want to pull back because you're like, God, all right, whatever, just shut the hell up, you know? But I love that. And in fact, I think if we whispered a lot more, like if we just all pulled in closer and whispered and came together, I think there would be less yelling in the world, because we become much stronger together as whisperers. And the people all yelling around, we'd be like, shh.
It'll be more understanding.
We can't hear the people in our little group here, so shh.
And then you can identify those that call for help with the people yelling. See, Cricket's Whisper was formed in 2012. So it is sometimes the strongest voice is a whisper. But listen, it says, I created this line because I do apparel and accessories for the strong woman who takes care of everyone and everything first. The Cricket's Whisper is a reminder to all that we must recharge and refuel our fragile souls. My desire is for all women to take the time daily to pray, meditate, sing out loud, dance to your inner music, embrace yourselves for however long needed, and voice out loud so that your ears can hear you say to thyself, I promise, me time. To care, nurture, love, respect, accept, appreciate, value, and celebrate the I am. Something special, magnificent, and totally amazing. Crickets whisper that sometimes the strongest voice is but a whisper. That's that I wrote in 2012 when my husband became totally paralyzed. And I asked God and the universe, okay, with all the talents I have, what is going to sustain me throughout my assignment? On a rainy day on my way to work, that is all I said. When I got to work, I wrote this mission statement. And until this day, I have never changed a word to it. And that's how Cricket's Whisper started. So allow yourself to whisper to yourself. Record it. And when you're in the car, wherever you feel frustrated, click on that voice. It's your voice. Sometimes we need to hear it from somewhere else. So I would say record it. If you have that time, record it. Margarita. Shh. And replay it back. Because who else to tell you what to do but yourself?
Yep.
Why do I gotta get Tony, whatever his name is, to tell me to shush? I can tell myself to shush, and I'm gonna honor that shush, and then I'm gonna say, okay, whatever I'm doing, I'm gonna stop, and I'm just gonna sit there. I'm not gonna pray. I'm not gonna meditate on anything. I'm just gonna sit there and breathe. And sometimes that's all it takes for the answers to come. And if no answers come, then bitch, you're asking the wrong question. Focus and get to know yourself. Not every question there's not an answer for every question.
Yes.
Sometimes it just is. And sometimes you just must be. And flip that why. Why am I asking so many damn questions? Should be the only why I know this right now. And then learn. And then we might have to, badass, bring back the let go and grow, because that was a phenomenal session.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
And then we could honor Medea too, and just title one called "Shut the Hell Up."
That's it.
Shut the hell.
Oh,
Hello.
He's awesome.
With that, that was beautiful wisdom to end today's show with. And so that was wonderful. And so go today, think about that. Just sit in silence today, as often as you can. You don't have to just give yourself 5 minutes and be done with it, or 2 minutes. Who says you have to do it once in a day? Just sit, just shut the hell up. Don't ask questions. Don't answer them. Just sit there. And if somebody else is talking, let them
tune them out. Tune them out. Yeah, exactly. Let them tune them out. It's you. It's you. It doesn't matter who's playing the music.
But don't tune them out if you're listening to them. But I'm saying, like, if they're asking you questions and they're wanting answers and you don't want to, tune them out.
Yeah, just go like this, because that's your boundary. Iris was talking to me one day at the thing, and she's like, Margie. And I didn't answer her. Why? Because I was praying. And she's like, you're ignoring me? I said, no, I was praying. She's like, oh. But I couldn't break my prayer to let her know that. And then she was on the top bunk, so she didn't see me do this. But sometimes you have to do what you must do for your sanity, for your self-love. And then if you have to apologize, I didn't mean to ignore you, but I was doing this, then do so. But do not interrupt your you time to accommodate someone else. Put up a hand, even if your eyes are closed, however you think it's more. And then complete what you're doing. Always complete what you're doing, because you're going to have a life of incompleteness because somebody interrupted you. No, and it might sound a little rude for those who don't know how to do it or have never done it. But you know what? There's power in you putting up a hand, even if your eyes are closed, because that person should understand that language. Just give me a minute. Hold on. And then finish what you began. If it's a prayer, if it's a meditation, your mantra, complete it. And then move on to the next thing. That's all I can tell you today. Is if it's something that you're feeding your spirit, complete it. And then be the best version of yourself to answer or to assist and to do the rest of the day. But complete your you first in the beginning of the day. Give gratitude to the divine, to God, to the universe. Give gratitude. And then say your daily mantra to start your day. That's like putting gas in your tank and fueling yourself for the day. And then you can be the best version of yourself, and then learn what needs to be cut from your life, what needs to be added, or maybe what needs a little bit of sazon. But do it. Have a great day.
That was beautiful. And with that, so Thursday we have Lane Starling coming on. Wait till you hear her story. It's incredible. And the title of it is Stroke of Abundance. So that's going to give you a hint. And we had a lot of new faces come on today. Yolanda Morales Lugo came on late.
Jolly
Dorsey came on. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming on. And so from me, the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
Yes. Be totally you. Keep it real and shine extraordinarily bright. Start that today. And from me, the Gladiator Guru, remember to breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit, mi gente. Namaste.
Namaste, everyone.